afternoon. It is Wednesday, not Tuesday. Wednesday afternoon. Just making a quick little jaunt into the little town. Had to hit the post office and some craft supplies out across the United States. I have 4 packages to send out. And do a little bit of grocery shopping while I'm in town. And I mean a little bit because it's a market, not a grocery store. But I need stuff for tonight's dinner, so I know that at least what I need, most of what I need, hopefully all of what I need, they have. The only ingredient that I'm concerned about them not having is going to be fresh grated Parmesan, which, you know, doing a Parmesan cream sauce, you kind of need the Parmesan. So I'm hoping they have fresh. I would prefer not to do, you know, the dried Parmesan if I can avoid it. But I'm also not going to make a special trip into other town, into big town, just for Parmesan cheese. So if they don't have fresh, I will just go with the bottled jar, you know. It's not even really a bottle. What do you call it? Like the spaghetti Parmesan. The dried stuff. But yeah, we'll see. So I'm going to do the barbecue ribs that I got from Imperfect Foods. And I'm going to make garlic Parmesan noodles. Making the sauce from scratch. Buying the noodles because while I have the attachments to be able to make my own noodles from scratch, I don't really have the counter space. You know, because it's a lot of work to do just for like a single night's dinner. So, you know, I'm going to make pasta. I want to make it en masse. I want to be able to make several meals worth of pasta, which requires you to have counter space to be able to dry the noodles out. And I don't have the space to do that. So I mean, I almost feel like that was a wasted purchase. I've had it for, I don't know, probably 2 years, 3 years maybe even. The attachment for my KitchenAid mixer to be able to do pasta. And I think I've used it once. Maybe twice. I definitely use my potato peeler / spiraler way more often. I also have the sausage attachment that I've never used, and the meat grinding attachment, which I have used. In fact, when my freezer, I was out of ground beef and we were short on money, but I had a whole bunch of like stew meat and cube steak down in the bottom of my freezer freezer. Clearly our least favorite cuts of meat, because it's always what's left over when we buy a cow. I've used that meat and I ground it up into hamburger. It definitely did not taste the same. It's different cuts of meat than what we normally get from ground beef. I mean, we as people, not we as, individuals, but definitely, I mean, it's a different, where you get your ground beef from is not the same as just like, let me reverse that. Where you get your stew meat from is not the same places you get your ground meat from. And it tends to be a lot leaner. So, I mean, grinding up stew meat into ground meat, I mean, it's still beef. You still get your protein, but it just gives it a little bit of a different flavor profile than using, regular ground beef. But, I mean, it does in a pinch. It did at a pinch. I still have a whole bunch of stew meat in the bottom of my freezer, on the bottom shelf of my freezer. At this point, I'm almost to the point where I'm going to just use it to make beef broth and then scoop the meat out and feed it to my dogs. Because when I do beef broth, I usually just use a soup bone. That comes with every cow that I buy. I get the bones. And I've got probably at least 2 cows worth of soup bones in my freezer. And I normally just use the bone and, to make bone broth with. But the meat just sits there. To be, it's like, by the time we run out of the steaks and the ground beef and the ribs and all of that, it's time for us to buy another side of beef. So we just seem to end up piling the stew meat on top of, pulling the old stew meat out, putting the new stuff in, and putting the older stuff on top, so that if we do use it, it's, readily available. It just seems like a waste. I mean, it's not a waste, because, it's being purposed if I use it for making broth. And, the dogs get the beef that's left over, so it's not like I would be wasting it, but I've got more bones than I can ever make enough broth for us 2 people. I mean, this last go around, I made 10 cups of broth. So it's like 2 beef bones out of the freezer, out of the probably 100 that I have in there. Do I really need to just sacrifice the beef for that same purpose? Like, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't make sense now that I'm talking that out. It doesn't really make sense. Would probably be better suited to donate it either to individuals or an organization, which the shelter seems like the logical place, but we don't, the shelter's 35 minutes from me, whereas Benton City is only 10 minutes away. So if I could find an organization here in Benton City that can use it, or even post in the Buy Nothing Benton City group, I think that's a better option, because I've got probably 20 30 pounds of stew meat in the bottom, on the bottom shelf of my freezer. And it's like, it's our least favorite cut of meat, so it's like emergency rations for us. And I realize, that's like, first world problems. But it is. We make sure that we save all year so that when we need to buy a set, when we're running low on beef, we have the money to buy another side of beef. We plan for that. And most of the time, you can kind of give a rough idea what cuts of meat you want to the butcher, but at the end of the day, especially if you're sharing a cow with somebody, you kind of get what you get and you work with it. So the best I've been able to establish, that's not even the right word, like when I'm purchasing a side of beef, is I've been able to say I would like more hamburger versus more steak, or more steak versus more roast, because we're not a big roast family either. Although I do have a meat slicer, and I should start slicing up roasts and making our own beef jerky again, because we literally just paid $12.99 for 6 ounces of jerky, and it pissed me off to pay for it, especially when I can make it myself. But so I'm at the post office. I'm gonna run in, send these packages off, and we will be back. 2 seconds for you, probably 10 minutes for me. Well, that was so cool. Took a little longer than I planned because I got to talking to the lady in there about tattoos and ink therapy and our dream people. Now I'm super jealous because I really, really, really want to get a Clean Rock One original, and I'm slowly stashing money aside because not only do I have to pay for the trip to Vegas, but he's like $300 an hour. And he's booked out years. Last time when we went to Vegas a couple years ago, I checked into it and he was booked out a few years. So yeah, I had mentioned that, and I'm like, I'm not a skull person. I said, but skulls are kind of that's his specialty. And to be able to get a Clean Rock One skull and some roses, I will put that on me. But I'm jealous because she's like, yeah, my best friend, she's got a Clean Rock tat, and I'm like, oh, I'm jelly. I'm so jelly. I would love to get one from Ryan as well. She does some beautiful bead work, which I think is gorgeous. There's a few artists from Ink Master, to be honest, that I would love to get ink from. I wish they would do something with that red and white building that we just passed. Used to be Daddy-O's Pizza, and it closed. Gosh, it was closed when we moved here in 2000. And then they tried to reopen again in like, I don't know, 2007, 2006, 7, 8, somewhere in there. And they didn't even last a year, and they were closed again, and they've been closed ever since. And that building has just sat empty, you know. And it strikes me funny because people, you know, the building stays painted, the utilities are on, but it's empty. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I get painting it because it's like right on the main drag, so, you know, they don't want it to be dilapidated. So I get maintaining the outside, but, you know, to be maintaining the inside of an empty building just seems bizarre to me, you know, especially to be paying for tap power. You're supposed to wait for the crossing guard, lady. Don't you know that? That's what they're there for. The crossing guard came way out of her way to walk this lady and her kids through the crosswalks, and she just like went without her. Yeah, school's out, so there's people everywhere. I know I said once upon a time that, you know, I was gonna do some short filming inside the market here. I cannot do it this time, however, because our grocery list is on my phone. So, got distracted. I had a hair that was driving me crazy because it kept like blowing in my face no matter how many times I kept moving it out of the way. That pissed me off, and I yank it, and it was a gray one. Which, you know, if you believe in that, 5 more are going to come back in its place now. Or 3 more, or 10 more, or whatever. Whatever wives' tale you believe in. Look and see if they have raw pumpkin seeds in there, because I don't want to buy a pumpkin just so I can have pumpkin seeds. And I'm going to scoot over one because this guy's like halfway into this spot, so I can't move forward any, and I feel like my butt is hanging out way out into the aisle. Just gonna scoot over one, and then I gotta back, straighten myself up. Oh my gosh, the dogs and that car next to me. Oh my god, and the Denali, they're so cute. Got a little miniature Aussie Merle. One brown, one blue eye. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. All right, I'll be back. And we're back. And yay, they had fresh Parmesan. They actually had 3 cheese, Parmesan Asiago Romano that I went with instead of just straight Parmesan. Because why not? I bought myself a Pepsi. I know, I'm not supposed to drink it, but I really wanted a Pepsi. Today was all about jealousy for me today. It was so cool. There was a mom and her 3 kids wandering around the store. And one of her kids has their bearded dragon hanging out on his shoulder. And I'm like, I am so jealous. There's no way I could take mine out like that. Especially my citrus. Which is what theirs was. And it's like, theirs was, his name was Rango. And he had a big old chunk of muck hanging out on his shoulder. And I'm like, my little Petrie is so little, you know, compared to normal sized dragons. Well, they both are. Both Petrie and Ducky are both small for their age. But that comes from bad husbandry their first year of life. But it's like, oh, there's no way. I mean, I could probably get away with a short trip with Ducky just because, you know, she's a little more lax and she actually likes being held. Whereas Petrie keeps thinking he likes to be held, but then every time I try to hold him, he like goes all spastastic and like jumps and leaps back into his enclosure. So there's no way either. I would have to have him in a carrier of some sort if I was to take him out and about with me. There's no way. And I definitely would not feel comfortable, like, you know, just having Ducky sitting up on my shoulder and just driving with her. I'd be too afraid of losing her in my vehicle. So it is kind of interesting. So Mama's Diner is closed. They were open for one day as a Mexican restaurant. There was a post on Facebook about some false report, something or other, and they would be open back up soon. But that was weeks ago. And now they're still closed. Makes me think that the report that closed them down was valid, or they'd be back open, right? Yeah, but they had posted on Facebook that somebody had lied about them, and so they were closed on that second day. But like I said, it's been weeks that they've been closed now. And honestly, you know, I'm on the fence because I would never be, I don't want to be one to like begrudge somebody their dream of owning their own business or opening a restaurant or whatever. But at the same time, in this particular instance, I didn't support it. Number one, the owners of the building, when Mama closed her diner, it was promised to the community by the owner of that building that the recipes would stay, the name was going to stay, it was going to remain Mama's Diner, all of her recipes were staying there, she just was no longer going to be the owner. And that he was going to expand a little bit, like into, you know, arcade, possibly pizza, you know, but the core of Mama's Diner was going to remain. So when this Mexican restaurant popped up in their place and they had their grand opening, I was like, what the heck? And I messaged Mama Lori and I'm like, what's the deal? And she's like, yep. So it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth anyway. But the last last thing this tiny little town needs is yet another Mexican restaurant. We already have 3. And let me see if I don't know if this sign has our population on it. Nope. You know, you saw. I drove through the entire town just now. Start to finish. Why do we need yet another Mexican restaurant? It makes absolutely no sense. And so I was really having a hard time supporting them anyway. You know, but now that weeks later they're still closed, it makes me wonder, you know, what phone call was made that has kept them closed this whole time. I don't know. Might have to reach back out to Mama Lori and be like, hey, what's going on? Do you know? Do you have any deeds? You know, it's like wineries. We don't need another winery. And yet they pop up. It seems like, you know, at least once a month we have another winery pop up. And it's like, why? Why do we need this many wineries here? We are not that big of a community. I will say, it has been so long since I've had a soda out of a bottle. This actually tastes kind of strange. I did buy a soda while we were in Walla Walla. We stopped to, you know, to pick up some ammo and grabbed a soda, grabbed a Pepsi while I was there. And it didn't register in my brain that, you know, there was a reason my hands were getting sticky holding the bottle. Like, it registered that my hands were getting sticky, but it didn't register why they were getting sticky until I got out to the car and I opened the bottle and it just went no psh, no fizzle, no nothing. And it's like, duh. That's why your hands have been getting sticky this whole time, because there is a leak in this bottle and it's no longer carbonated because it's been leaking. Needless to say, I didn't get any Pepsi that day because that was gross. Man, there are dead skunkies everywhere. Do they come out for the winter? I wonder. Is it? Do they come out in the fall? Whew, that one was strong. Holy smokes. It is still hanging with, still hanging. Whew, whew, whew. I didn't see anything. I hope I didn't run it. I didn't see anything that I ran over. But it does seem to be hanging with me. this side of the tracks. I have to wait for the train to go by. You know, I went through the store. I picked up all the stuff for the garlic parmesan sauce and, you know, all the dairy, did everything that I needed for it. I'm standing in line at the register and realized I didn't have pasta. Now, the reason I haven't used the pasta sauce, the spaghetti sauce that I bought from Imperfect Foods yet, is because I didn't have any pasta at home. And I almost walked out of the store with everything I needed for dinner tonight, except the pasta. Now I have pasta for tonight. I bought a big bag of spaghetti noodles because I have 3 jars of spaghetti sauce. And now I'll get to try that sauce and let Snark know how it was. I didn't even set my cruise control. I was kind of like cruising along, and I'm like, look down at my, I should probably actually at least do the speed limit. Let me speed up. And then I slowly start sliding back down again. I'm like, but I'm almost home now. There's no point in setting the cruise control now. Not that far from home. Mail truck. That's not my mail, lady. Stories that came out of this little fire station right here. Unfortunately, there was a flag up on my row of mailboxes. So if the mail's already been here, I don't know. Although what's coming in the mail today, I don't believe would fit in my mailbox. It was nice of them to just kind of hang and wait. They're still waiting. I wonder if they're waiting for a bus. Are they waiting for a school bus? Nope, mail's not here yet. Neighbor's flag is still up. We need one of those mailboxes. Keep thinking about. School is out. I was thinking it was too early. But we got walking kids. Woof, woof, woof. Ta-da! So thanks for coming along with me. I may or may not film while I'm cooking dinner. I haven't really decided yet. I got a couple more hours to decide that. But who knows? Maybe you'll see me again later tonight. In the meantime, do all those YouTubey things. Thanks. Bye.